Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I'm celebrating Star Wars Day, the 4th of May, with a couple of movie marathons. I'm doing the original movie marathon with the actual pre-special edition versions, which were released on DVD as special features. With the regular special edition, the second disc had the the 3/4 version of the film, which I think was done in letterbox. I think it was done for Laserdisc, and I didn't actually realise, because I had a TV when I bought it, when I went to watch it a couple of years later on DVD, that it's actually 4:3 and it's got the bars permanently on it. It's not anamorphic. So I fixed that somehow, but it's interesting to watch them, the originals, because I mean, there are changes, but I do actually value George Lucas's changes. I just don't like the idea of not having the originals to watch as well. So I do agree with adding in Hayden Christensen in the Force Ghost scenes and that, and putting in the Emperor from the whole series to replace the weird looking Emperor from the second film, stuff like that. I actually agree with that, and adding in the extra scenes, most of it works, particularly the extra scenes, the planets and so forth like that. But there are times when I'd rather just have a bantha or something standing in the back looking photorealistic, like it's actually in the scene, than having a CG one stomping through the shot just looking totally CGI. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then of course there's the very Muppet-esque band in Jabba's palace that just, when that thing comes at the camera and he opens his mouth and you see his tonsils moving around like a cartoon, I remember seeing that on the big screen when the special editions were released and just cringing. And that was when that CGI actually looked good, and now it's not even good CGI. So it's good to have the original editions. And of course the vagina monster from the desert, the Sarlacc, the fact that they put some weird beak in it that looked like the creature from Little Shop of Horrors. It kind of reminds me of that. It's like that coming out like a beak. It just looks awful. And I hated that, because that was just nightmare material. That vagina monster, which is what everyone called it. And the fact they ruined it. I mean, the argument was they felt it was too static and it needed some movement. Well, then have those tentacles whipping around and doing more, or maybe actually just create some movement within it, like it's a pulsating sort of swallowing sort of thing, rather than, spend the CGI doing that and the money doing that with CGI instead of putting in a stupid beak that the whole idea of falling into this pit of teeth and just being swallowed like you're being sucked into some anus or vagina or something and being dissolved, or something, or that's horrific. That's just nightmare material. The idea that just falling down there and you just slowly slipping down and you can just never get out. It's like horrific. But some creature that just comes up like a snapping turtle is just, oh god. So there are things like that make it worth watching the originals again. And those are the main things, because I mean, they're fairly good condition. They're softer, they're not as good as the newer DVDs or Blu-rays, of course, and I think there's 4K now as well. But you watch it for the difference. You watch it for the just remembering what they originally were, because it is a little jarring when you're used to seeing something a certain way and then it appears a different way. Sometimes additional things you don't notice because they're additional. Other times, something's missing. I mean, I'm not one of those people who are a Star Wars purist where I will only watch the originals. The people who get criticised, and I think it was a bit of a joke when they did those videos, 4:3, those DVDs 4:3, because it's like, oh, you want the original how they are, how you watch them? Well, you watch them on a TV screen, so let's do them 4:3 and have them widescreen, not anamorphic, with the letterbox. And I think it was a bit insulting and condescending, but I mean, for example, the original Star Wars was remastered with new CGI. I haven't gone back and watched the original series with the original effects since they made the new ones. Why would I go backwards? Why would I want to watch those when there's only 2 or 3 episodes where I think the change was disruptive or actually counterproductive. There's like 2 or 3 where I think, no, they should have kept it like it was, or something like that. But Star Wars, it's like, as long as I've got the option, because my idea is, if I'm going to watch Star Wars, I'm going to do a marathon and make a couple of days out of it, or a long weekend or something. So it's like I'm going to watch 1 to 3 and then the Ewoks movie, and then I'm going to go to the prequels, and then I'm going to go chronological and watch Rogue One, Solo, then Rogue One. I'm not sure, yeah. Solo's first, then Rogue One. Then you do the sequels, sorry, the original films, and then you do the sequels. So I'm going to do, now I've done the originals chronological, and it works that way because that was chronologically the way they were released in the cinema to a degree, where you had the originals and the prequels. And then even though the special edition was done before the prequels, the extra changes that are on those later versions came after the prequels were done. So they are sort of technically after the prequels now. So even though they were originally done before, so it's a bit of a mess. And there are whole YouTube videos done about the differences and the changes. And I just remember the whole Guido shot first thing. It is nice to see Han shoot first and be that sort of character because it shows that he changed. And there's something to that. It kind of works. You kind of feel a bit rewarded when he actually does show up at the end because you really weren't sure if he was a good guy or a bad guy. Whereas in the later films, it's like they just had to undermine that or take that away. It's like, I don't know what George was thinking. I know he thought of the original film as a film for kids and he tried to keep that, but then, people saw more depth in it than he did and also wanted it for them and wanted it for adults and wanted it to sort of have more longevity. So a lot of the changes that he did, I think, were to try and make it more kid-friendly or to take it backwards, and some of it doesn't work. Some of it really does, some of it really doesn't. And I like, as long as there's both versions, and I really don't understand why they can't give us a despecialized edition because fans have made their own and they're just as good a quality as the Blu-rays. I don't think they're as good as the 4Ks, but I have no idea what resolution they did the final prints at. But I don't know, I just want to talk about the original Star Wars edition for the first time. I'd love to see, I've got to get the despecialized edition, I don't have them. I want to actually see Star Wars without, episode 4 on it, because I'm pretty sure these ones are at least, it's not the original Star Wars, it is the re-release of Star Wars and then the original Jedi and Empire Strikes Back and Jedi, so, but that's fine, because, if he'd known there was going to be, a second and third sequel, he would have named the first one 4. So I can forgive him for making that little change. It didn't really affect the film or the viewing of it. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I do love the original trilogy. There's a lot of really great moments where you just really feel like you're kind of in an episode of Star Trek. I just remember thinking that. It's like they do have all these little sequences and episodes, like the period they spent on Hoth, I love it when they go down into the cave in the asteroid and it turns out to be a creature. I love that. There's the stuff on Tatooine, and then there's the stuff on the Millennium Falcon before they're actually then trying to actually blow up the Death Star. And what else? I mean, I guess this is stuff on Endor and that. And I don't mind the Ewoks as much as a lot of people. I mean, they are a little annoying at times, but then when they actually start to be killed and you realise there's real jeopardy in the battle, that they're not just a bunch of silly creatures that are just going to, get away with, being so naive. There are actually going to be consequences, and realising that they are dying, it's like, if you see like a dog or a cat or something killed in a movie, it's like worse than seeing a person. So I think that really works in some ways. I mean, I guess some people don't care, but I could almost cry when that Ewok is like dying and everyone realizes that they're not going to get up, and he just stays with them. It's like, how can you not? It's like, so yeah. And the space scenes, the battle scenes are as good as I remember them as a kid because I saw them on TV. Then I bought the remastered videos and I watched them once or twice like that. And I might have rented them once before that, and then I saw the special editions in the cinema, and then I saw the DVDs, which were changed again, and then the Blu-rays, which were changed again, and went back to these ones because I got them at some point in the midst of all of that. But I'm going to watch the Ewoks movie because I think I watched it once on video when I was a kid. I don't know, my brother's ex-girlfriend had a copy of it, so her nieces or something could watch it when they came over, or her nephews or something. And I think I lent it, but I don't ever remember watching it. I just remember having it in on my bookshelf. But I'm actually going to watch it for what feels like the first time. And then I'm going to go and start the big marathon, which is probably going to take another day or two to get through them all. Because I need a bit of perspective after all the criticism of the sequels, and to a lesser extent the prequels, which people are sort of embracing and forgiving at this point. Fortunately, I'm not as big a Star Wars fan as I was Star Trek fan. I'm not as much of a purist, and I'm not as bothered by all these things that upset all the Star Wars fans. A lot of them are just toxic. Some of them, yeah, there's some legitimate complaints. They undid the original trilogy and they basically repeat the films again to do a second series, and it's almost as enjoyable as the first time, but it does feel repetitive. It does feel like it undermines, and there's issues, but ultimately I did enjoy them, and I think I'm going to enjoy them more this time with a bit of distance from all of that. But because the last time I watched them was right before the last film came out, when there was a lot of controversy, and I think I was a lot more critical of them, and I probably didn't enjoy them as much as I could have. But it's 11 minutes, I'm still talking. I'm going to go and watch them, and R2 says bye.